of FROSTHEART'S Sonne. Chapter 2, The Second Prince.
The morning sun, a pale ghost of its usual brilliance, spread elongated, chilly beams of light over the snow-covered terrain of the Kingdom of Snowfall. In the heart of the royal palace, a figure stirred beneath covers of the finest fur, Prince Caspian FROSTHEART, second son of King Frederick and Queen Amara, was not known for greeting the dawn with open arms. He preferred the quiet solitude of pre-dawn, a time for reflection before the day's inevitable onslaught of duties and decorum. Caspian stretched, his movements fluid and graceful, pushing back the covers just enough to reveal a sliver of his face. The word beautiful was often whispered in hushed tones when his name was mentioned, and for once the whispers rang true. It wasn't just the symmetry of his features, though the gods had been generous in that regard. It was the way the paleness of his skin seemed to glow with an inner luminescence, as if lit by moonlight rather than sunlight. His jaw was smooth, almost delicate, but there was a strength in the set of his chin that hinted at the steel beneath the surface. And then there were his eyes, the color of the clearest summer sky reflected in a glacier, a startling, piercing blue that seemed to see straight through to your soul. He rose, running a hand through his silver hair, pushing it back from his face. It fell in soft waves past his ears, a stark contrast to the severity of his usual attire. His days were a carefully orchestrated dance of duty and discipline. Every moment was accounted for, every action deliberate. After a light breakfast, he had never been one for heavy meals. Caspian would meet with his advisors. As the second son, Caspian wasn't burdened with the weight of the throne, a fact he was both grateful for and burdened by. He was free to pursue his own interests, to hone his skills, but it also meant he had to carve his own path, define his own purpose. And Caspian had found his purpose in serving as his kingdom's envoy, their ambassador to the outside world. His sharp mind was a valuable asset in the delicate dance of diplomacy, his keen intellect capable of dissecting treaties and predicting the subtle shifts in political winds. He was a formidable negotiator, unyielding in his defense of his kingdom's interests, yet possessing a subtle charm that could disarm even the most hardened adversary. His mornings were dedicated to his royal duties, but his afternoons were reserved for one of his truest passions, swordsmanship. The grand hall of the Snowfall Palace was teeming with activity. Foreign dignitaries, adorned in silks and jewels from their respective kingdoms, mingled with Snowfall's own court officials. The air buzzed with snippets of conversations in different languages, the clinking of goblets, and the soft melodies played by the court musicians. It was during these gatherings that Prince Caspian truly shone. He moved through the throng with the grace of a winter wraith, his expression carefully neutral, his bearing impeccably regal. A group of visiting princesses giggled behind their fans as he passed, their eyes lingering on his sculpted profile. Caspian, ever aware, gave a barely perceptible nod in their direction, his lips curving ever so slightly in a polite smile that didn't quite reach his sapphire eyes. He'd long grown accustomed to the attention, finding it more of a tedious side effect of his position rather than something to be flattered by. "Your Highness," a voice oozed near him, silken and cloying. A duchess from a neighboring kingdom, known for her acquisitive nature, sidled closer, her bejeweled hand landing on his arm with a startling familiarity. "You look absolutely stunning this morning." Caspian inclined his head, extracting his arm from her grasp with a practiced smoothness that made it seem as if he were merely adjusting his cuff. "Duchess," he greeted, his voice as smooth and cool as glacial ice. "A pleasure, as always." He turned slightly, effectively putting some distance between them, his eyes scanning the hall as if searching for someone. As if on cue, a stray falcon, someone's pet from the visiting menagerie, decided that the Duchess's elaborate feathered hat looked particularly appetizing. With a shrill cry, the bird swooped down, talons extended. Feathers scattered, shrieks erupted, and the Duchess found herself momentarily separated from Prince Caspian in the ensuing commotion. An unfortunate incident, Caspian thought, a flicker of amusement dancing in his sapphire eyes before he schooled his face back into an expression of polite concern. He offered the Duchess a hand to help her up, the picture of composed grace, his earlier near escape forgotten. It was all part of the game, after all, a game he played with a detached amusement. In the afternoon, Caspian diligently practiced his swordsmanship in the designated training yard. He moved with a fluidity that belied the strength behind each strike, his blade a silver blur against the backdrop of snow-dusted stone. The rhythmic clang of steel against steel was the only sound that dared disturb the silence. For Caspian, swordplay was more than a martial skill. It was a meditation, a way to silence the constant whirring of his mind. Each parry, each thrust was executed with precision, his body moving with the honed grace of a seasoned warrior. He didn't simply wield the sword, he danced with it, a silent ballet of strength and elegance. As the sun began its descent, Caspian finally lowered his sword, his chest heaving slightly from the exertion. He dismissed his sparring partner, a seasoned knight who had served his father for decades, and made his way back to the palace, his muscles pleasantly tired, his mind quiet. The quiet of Caspian's private chambers was a stark contrast to the bustling activity of the palace he called home. Here, amidst the plush carpets and the soft glow of enchanted lamps, the weight of his princely facade seemed to ease, if only slightly. He shed his formal attire, trading it for a simple linen tunic and trousers. His reflection in the silver-rimmed mirror, a stark contrast to the meticulously composed prince he presented to the world. He moved towards his bed, his hand instinctively reaching beneath the stack of silken pillows, his fingers brushing against the familiar softness of well-worn velvet. Pulling out a small brown teddy bear, its fur rubbed almost threadbare with time, Caspian sank onto the edge of the bed, a sigh escaping his lips. He held the teddy bear, affectionately named Mustang, close, his sapphire eyes reflecting a vulnerability he never dared display in public. "They don't see me, Mustang," he murmured, his voice barely a whisper. "They see the title, the lineage, the face," he chuckled, a humorless sound, as if lineage and looks could ever guarantee a loyal heart. Mustang, of course, offered no answers, but the familiar weight of the stuffed animal in his arms was a comforting presence. He'd had Mustang since he was a child, a gift from his grandmother, and the teddy bear had been the silent confidant to his hopes and fears ever since. And hope, Caspian realized, was a dangerous thing to harbor, especially when it came to matters of the heart. He'd seen firsthand how easily affections could be feigned, how quickly charm could be weaponized. Every smile sent his way, every whispered compliment felt like a calculated maneuver, a ploy for power or prestige. His gaze drifted towards the reflection in the silver-backed hand mirror resting on his nightstand. Even he couldn't deny the captivating allure of his own reflection, the way the candlelight seemed to dance in the depths of his sapphire eyes. Beauty, he'd learned, was a double-edged sword. It attracted attention, admiration, desire, but rarely did it pierce the surface. Rarely did it reach beyond the title, beyond the facade, to see the man beneath. A wry smile touched his lips, the expression devoid of any real humor. It was a burden. This beauty, this title, this life he'd been born into. It was a gilded cage and he, the exotic bird, admired from afar but never truly known. But sometimes in the stillness of his chambers, with only Mustang for company, Caspian wondered if he hadn't built his walls too high, if the ice he'd allowed to encase his heart hadn't grown too thick. Did anyone, he wondered, have the strength to melt through the frost and find the warmth that lay buried within? He sighed, a puff of white against the chill air of his chambers, and settled back against the pillows, Mustang clutched securely in his arms. Sleep, when it came, would be a brief respite before the charade began anew.
End of chapter. To be continued.
Visit our website, shoebl.com, to read the latest novel chapters of A FROSTHEART'S, Sonne.